United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, so we will see all of our alternates, since Julie and I are the regular members here. Is Holly, did she end up?
Holly, no. Holly, Mr. Rice, Mr. Colantonio.
Yeah, I saw Don and Bill.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she did email me.
all right. I didn't check.
Yeah, she was on the big train a few days ago.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Just slipped
you know,
in.
Sometimes you gotta go to, yeah, okay. All right, approval of minutes, so let's go through this. Any changes or updates on lines 1 through 46?
I'm good.
Good. Lines 47 through 92?
Looks good.
Yeah, Bill thought so, he didn't see anything. And then 93 to 105?
All good.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, so first from Angel, second from Nick. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the March 26, 2023 meeting? Oh, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I will abstain, but I think that we have a quorum, so perfect. Okay, all right. So our first order of business is a request for an extension to the 90-day subdivision filing requirement for application PC 24-01 of 720 Hot Meadow Street, Drake Hill Mall, Terry Hahn, LLC owner Terry Hahn, LABA.
So staff provided a quick memo to you. Extensions to the 90-day filing period are permitted under the statute, as well as our subdivision regulations. You can extend the filing, which is, it's a 90-day filing period. You can extend it twice upon the applicant's request. Ms. Hahn is here tonight. If she could speak to it if she wanted to. This is not something that she would normally have to come to, but we appreciate that she's here. But there are individual reasons and property ownership reasons, but I would just defer to Terry if you'd let her speak.
Yeah, I was just curious as to, why
Terry, Terry, why don't you come and sit next to me?
Sit down, I know.
Why don't you come and sit next to me? Since I've got it.
George is lonely at the end.
Okay. Hello? Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Terry Hahn, LADA PC, principal. We're the land planners for the project. So the conditions for the approval were there was a small modification on the plat. Plat's good. We're ready to go. But the easement language that was required, because it's all integrated together. Well, it ends up that property had a mortgage on it, so the mortgage bank needs to review the easement. They don't understand time periods or time frames. So we'll get it. I don't think there's going to be any kind of problem, but we asked for an extension because it's due either next week or the week after, and I can't guarantee that they're going to give a sign off.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Reasonable enough.
Right,
Yep.
exactly.
I didn't do a particular motion because you just moved to extend the 90-day filing period.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to extend the period.
One second.
Any discussions? All those in favor of granting the extension, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck, I hope you get that.
Oh, it'll happen.
I know.
It's just a cheese.
No. And better to do it than, okay. And thank you for being here. Second commission business is referral from the zoning commission of application ZC 24-10, which is a text amendment to the flood zone. And I know we have
so we wrote a memo. I did have a slide or two for you, but so I'll just read from it tonight. So Brittany worked on this, but she's on vacation with her family this weekend for spring break. But so substantial improvement. This is not something you guys deal with a lot as a group. You don't really deal with the flood zone. But structures located in the town's floodplain zones are required to adhere to what we call a substantial improvement requirement when making any improvements to the structures. And substantial improvement means, essentially, a substantial improvement is really any construction that requires a permit. And what happens is any time throughout the life of the structure where the cumulative permitting or the cumulative construction exceeds 50% of the value of the house, then that property owner has to upgrade the entire structure such that it meets flood zone requirements. And that could mean raising the structure, like physically, filling in the basement, and a whole host of other kind of engineer floodproofing. So what happens is when you've got houses that are, and of course in Simsbury we've got houses that are, many houses more than 50 years old, and over the course of the lifetime of the structure, that can add up pretty quickly. 2 roofs, an addition, and all of a sudden you're at and you're at 50%. Current substantial improvement attract, as I said, over the life of the structure. And we have found, working with property owners, particularly in the Riverside community, as well as in other places, that has become quite a burden. It restricts and burdens the property owners from almost making any changes over time. Now, we always get the big project, but if we track the improvements on a worksheet. And we'd like, oh, you're at 49%, so you come in for that deck addition. We're like, well, you can't do your deck. Otherwise, you've got to upgrade the entire structure at potentially tens of thousands of dollars. So we did a little bit of analysis and looked at adjoining towns and found that most, if not, with the exception of Farmington, in the Farmington Valley, have a 10-year substantial improvement period. And it's funny that the state produces a model FEMA floodplain ordinance, and the model ordinance says 10 years. So we're recommending to the zoning commission to do just that, which would be to remove the requirement remove the time period as lifetime of the structure and make it a 10-year period. I mean, we're trying to find a balance here because under our floodplain regs, we really want all structures to come into compliance. But because we have a lifetime requirement, that becomes a burden, and people choose not to do any maintenance even on their property. And we certainly don't want that to happen. We want to encourage that. So we think that going to a 10-year period allows property owners to do the kind of things they need to do, and that we would catch when there is a large improvement to the house, a full half addition or something like that. That's going to trigger it anyway, and then they would bring, as part of that project, would bring it up to code. So, again, you're asked for a referral to the zoning commission for any text changes, and you're asked to find conformance and consistency with the POCD. We would offer that there is a goal in the conservation section. It talks about maintaining a thoughtful balance between the use of land and conservation of resources. So staff recommends strongly making this change, and I think that there is a balance and really a fairness and an equity associated with making this change. I'm happy to do my best to answer questions. This is kind of Brittany's expertise, but we have been in contact with a number of property owners who are like, yes, please help us with this.
I was going to say, it certainly would help keep people in their homes. I mean, that's part of,
Right.
and if FEMA is the one that's, I mean, that's in their suggested.
It is, and
Yeah,
again,
I
if you look, Canton, 10 years, Avon, 10
Yeah.
years, Granby, 10 years, East Granby, 10 years.
Do we know in the case of Farmington if that's been affirmed recently or if that's just an artifact like ours?
You know, we just did the research of finding what the heck,
Sure.
we didn't ask the question
Okay.
as to why. Again, the balance is,
Yeah.
I mean, you can be more strict, but we have found, that even if a home is for sale, for instance, in an area that's a floodplain, we'll get multiple calls from realtors and, potential property owners who say, what percentage are they at? Because that,
Right,
that restricts you if you want to buy a house but can't,
Yeah.
right.
do this or that or the other thing.
Yeah, you don't wanna prevent people from being able to do maintenance.
No.
No, of course, yeah.
That's really the key, though, is if you know.
That's what I was thinking, it's
Right.
like,
But there is the scenario, if you are at X period in the house and it's got, at 48% and your roof is up, the roof is gonna trigger that. And that is certainly, we don't want to happen.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
right, I agree.
So,
A couple of questions on definitions because it's not really specific here anyway. I assume it's a rolling 10-year period, not like a 10 years from purchase.
as drafted, it's a 10-year rolling.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the dollars we're talking about, are they dollars at time of improvement or dollars present value to
So
today?
yeah, that's a good question. So the way we,
I only ask because we're using current value of the house and maybe not current value of the dollar spent 9 years ago. I don't know if it's a big
yeah, that's
deal,
interesting. I'm not sure we thought about how to,
because we're probably going based on assessment for the value of the
so
house,
it's
right?
but the assessment changes, right? So
course.
the value
Yeah.
changes.
Right.
And that's listed under fair market. And no, we would add the building permits up over the period.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to do it otherwise.
Dollar cost
Oh, we'd be
average.
open to that, but boy, that makes it more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about, like you said, the balance and, I think this makes sense in terms of the time frame. I just think about, you made improvements 9 years ago, which, what is that, 2016? 2016 dollars aren't going to get you very far in 2024. And,
Yeah, but if you think about it, that would
benefit.
Benefit
that would
the
that would
homeowner.
suppress the cost. That would benefit the owner,
Because you
Right.
have to adjust it for inflation.
right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't want those dollars in plus 10.
right.
You'd want it. You'd want them 9 years ago
From the, from the homeowner's perspective.
from a homeowner perspective.
Right.
And I think we're trying
Yeah.
to be homeowner friendly on this
Yeah,
one.
and I think that makes sense. I just want to make sure if there was a definition somewhere that we were,
And it's keeping us on par.
There's
with
not, but
other
we
towns.
can, as we go to zoning, Brittany and I'll think about that a little bit.
yeah, I mean, just whatever the definition's going to be, just so that there's not questions later on when, someone's at the line of, 48% or something, and, the question comes up, is it today's dollars, is it yesterday's dollars? It might make a difference, especially if it's an improvement that was 8-9 years ago.
Understood.
Otherwise, I think it's a good change.
But wouldn't it, to your point though, wouldn't it be just what was spent in that 10-year period? It really doesn't matter if it was 9 years ago or now.
Well, that's how we would do it.
Right.
That's how it's done today, but the question was if we're moving the value of the house commensurate with the market and the, appreciation and inflation, would we not also move the dollars spent value? But
So
it sounds like we don't.
I would, I mean, I think what's spent on the house, because you'd have,
Right.
seems-
supposedly have information on, I don't know, yeah.
Oh, no,
It seems that
yeah.
We're not changing anything but the time frame.
Yeah, that's all we're
So however
changing.
it's being calculated
It
or
is, yeah,
valued
I would-
today,
I don't know
I think
that-
it's
It's the same, yeah, right,
not in our jurisdiction, right?
true. Not-
No, I mean, I think you always have, I think it's under your purview always to recommend improvements to any draft language, if it such exists. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have
I
every
think
right, you have
clarifying
every right to do
value,
that, or, I
present
mean,
value,
you could always say,
or
hey,
actual
ask staff
spend.
to look at the,
Yeah.
just to look at it, and we'll take that to zoning commission.
Yeah, and I
It
mean,
won't
I-
affect any
By the
vote.
same token, though, you could go into a housing crisis where a
course.
house could be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're, yeah.
No, I think-
We're just in a, but no, to your point, yeah.
I think just for the sake of clarity, and especially if it's something we get calls on routinely from realtors or buyers,
do.
it's a question I would ask as that person. And if there wasn't a lot of, I know there were questions I asked when I bought my house, and there weren't a lot of good answers about certain things as it related to the property lines and things of that nature, and different subject, but I think this is an opportunity where we can add some clarity that won't hurt anything, and it'll just reaffirm the process that already exists. We use the dollars as spent at, such and such time, and, the value of the property appreciates over time or whatever the case, and, we go on the assessed value, and I think it's a win for the property owners and gives them, a better opportunity to keep maintaining, their
Remember,
property.
we do use the assessor's fair market value.
Right, not the assessed
As the
value.
percent,
Yeah.
not the assessed value.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look at that for sure without, if we can improve it, we will.
Without putting extra restrictions, because I think the goal is to remove the restriction on the homeowners of the burden for them.
Right.
So if we add extra restrictions and said, but this has to be adjusted and that amount, you don't look at it this way, we look at it that way, it's providing them more like burden to calculate things, so that's my.
No, I think he's asking just to make sure that we can be clear on how we
How
add
it's
it up.
expressed.
I think that makes sense. We can make that change
So then when
and
they
ma-
call
clarify
it,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just cumulative dollars spent based on building permit
Yeah.
versus,
So you're
Yep.
tracking, like homeowners, percentages, are you tracking any town property or land that we have the same issue with?
so, that's a good question. For town parcels in the floodplain, we would do the same.
I thought that this is the discussion for the town, and then I figured that it's,
No, the town certainly has property in flood zone. We,
so are any
Like
of
the
those like
meadows?
close to the 50% mark?
that's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I mean, it would only come up in the event that there was a project
It would, I
slated.
can't think of one, we
Simsbury
did the
Meadows?
pavilion over at the,
Yeah.
yeah, there's stuff there. I suspect that that Brittany does track that. So no, we haven't had that occasion yet to have that increase.
So does someone wanna make a motion?
Nicholas, do you want to do the motions and we can, just so we can capture
Sure,
your
yeah.
asterisk? Like,
Yeah, I would make a
Have a
motion that we accept the move to 10 years and that we just add some clarity as to how the dollars are measured on previous improvements, that they're specified to be, the dollars spent and the time in which the improvements were done, so as not to increase the burden on the homeowner or, I suppose, the town in the case of town property.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the positive referral, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
Who seconded that?
What was it?
Who seconded
Julie
it?
did.
Okay.
Okay, the motion carries unanimously. So
What else?
you have the, do you have a?
Oh, I just put it in director's report today, just so I can give you an update. We're all set for 2 weeks.
6 o'clock, right?
Beginning at 6 p.m. right here. We will have the 3 finalists provide presentations to you and appear and enough time for a question and answer period for you as well. So really like 30 to 40 minutes per finalist. Let them give a good 15-minute presentation, and then whatever. Again, it is a public meeting, so they could all be sitting there. I think professionally they tend not to do that. They'll drop in for their presentation and answer questions and then go. And then I would, again, for that night, I would recommend we simply entertain that and have questions, and then have a discussion at your next meeting regarding selection. No, I would not recommend doing that same night.
Are we gonna get copies of the slides prior to?
When I get copies of what I get, I'll get to you. Absolutely.
And the proposals are in the Dropbox.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask them to submit their
Okay, but I mean,
presentations.
like if you want, like I read one,
Yeah.
And you could go through so that, well, there's.
Well, there's only 3 of them now, so. that's
Right,
just gonna-
so, and,
Yeah, so I'll get when I get them, you'll get them.
yeah,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I read all the proposals, I just thought that they're gonna do a presentation.
They will, yeah.
4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
Really focus on the point.
I will,
So we can prepare some questions, otherwise.
right, but also reading, I think, like, I started reading through the proposals just because I thought that would help me prepare with the company,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
so I haven't done them all, the 3. what are the three again? It was Collier's?
Collier's Engineering, SLR International, and FHI Studio.
So, yep.
Yep.
And then it'll be good, because then we'd have the slides and the proposals that we can review afterward too,
Yep.
so, yeah. All right.
That's all. I just that's all I had to report. I'm happy to answer questions about anything, but that's what's going on.
And the letter went out for the implementation.
Letter went out for the implementation. That's thanks. Aaron came in and signed that. We sent for your POCD plan implementation committee. Sent that to all of the named parties. I understand it's on the Board of Selectmen's agenda for next Monday. I sent it to the Planning Commission. We'll see. Or I mean the Zoning Commission, and we'll meet on Monday, and maybe they'll talk about that then.
Okay, great.
So, and that'll be slow. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get named people in a week here.
No.
I'll have to follow up and do a number of those kinds of things. So.
But it's out there, we're moving.
Yeah, it's out,
We're moving on.
and we're moving. That's correct.
And
which is
everybody
good.
got their new copy
Of
of the
Everyone-
POCD?
Yes.
Requested it, right, yes.
Oh, okay, good. You did get
Uh,
one? Yeah. Oh, good.
I handed it out at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, just double check.
Yeah.
I know, you're on
Somebody
top.
might not have. Joe, I don't. Joe, I think
Not
I
everybody-
suspect Joe didn't get one yet.
No, that's right, okay, I did, I got mine when I came in, so.
I wanted a hard copy.
I did too.
Yeah, everyone did. I
Yeah.
gave one to everyone.
That was nice.
Yeah, thank you, yeah, because
I didn't want to be the only.
Yeah.
I like having it. And
No, I do
being here
too.
for
It's-
meeting it. Yeah,
it's-
no, I do.
I
So,
agree.
All right.
It's good.
Any other,
That's all.
anything else, you guys?
So,
All right,
Good.
all right, so without objection, I'm adjourning the meeting. I have no idea what time,
7:22.
22. Thank you.
quick
All
one.
right.
Still